Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Michael Manatskanian, and I am a real estate investor, and I'm going to share my screen with you to basically give you a little bit of intro of who I am first and foremost, and then we will go into the actual deal itself. So I just want to thank you all for coming today or coming tonight. A lot of you are on the West Coast with me, so Pacific Standard Time. And then I think a healthy majority of you are also on the East Coast, so it's extremely late for you. I really appreciate you being here. If you are unable to make it and you're watching the recording, hi, everyone says hi to you. They wish you were here live, but we'll catch you later in the recording. So that being said, I'm going to start screen sharing so that I can do a little bit of an intro with you guys. So today I'm going to present to you guys a phenomenal Georgia co-living. It's a co-living rental portfolio. It's three different properties that total around $2.2 million. And I'm going to show you guys how you can invest in this deal with me for only $25,000. But first, before we get into all of that, the $2.2 million portfolio of three properties, totaling 7 units, all in Georgia, that have that have 25 bedrooms. For a lot of you, some of you know who I am, and a lot of you don't. So with that being said, let me explain who I am and my journey a little bit. So, man, there's a lot of people just trickling in. It's making it tough. All
Michael,
right.
I'll handle the waiting room so you can focus on the presentation.
Okay, cool. They like pop up on my screen. Do you guys see that every time someone comes in? All right. Well, can everyone see my screen? Can someone give me a thumbs up or drop something in the chat? Okay, excellent. All right, cool. So I'm Michael Manatskanian, and my business is Coast to Coast Vets. I'm a veteran myself, and that we basically own from literally coast to coast. I have properties in Alaska and California and Washington, all the way to the Carolinas and Florida, and then a bunch of stuff in between. And I'll dive into that shortly. Let's change slides. Awesome. So I've been real estate investing personally since 2018. By trade, I'm a chemical engineer and I'm also an Army veteran. I served in the US Army as an environmental science and engineering officer and as the chief of environmental health, most recently for the state of Alaska. Once I got out of the military, I went to the county of San Diego and served in a very similar role as a chief of environmental health, specifically for hazardous materials and waste. In addition to being a leader in environmental engineering and environmental health, as of August 2024, I officially retired from the W-2 world. That was after doing over 100 different transactions in real estate investing. So fix and flips and wholesale deals, as well as house hacking, small multifamily. And then the whole entire time buying and holding real estate, whether it was first using primarily the bank's money through house hacking or leveraging great creative finance transactions. And then now a lot of what I do is work with people just like you guys so that we can co-own properties together. Some people are my true lenders where they just give me capital and they get fixed interest rate return. But my favorite type of way of raising capital is to bring in private money partners where we actually co-own these assets together. Not only do we get solid returns, you get cash flow, you also get the ownership benefits. For example, you get the property appreciates in value, you get to benefit from that. Every month we make a mortgage payment, a portion of that is paying down the debt. You get to benefit from that. We get tax benefits. Well, you also get to benefit from that. And not only do you benefit from ownership, from the actual, Pace, my mentor, Pace Morby, always says there's five big things that you get from real estate investing. And I mentioned the first four, they're financial, but the fifth one is that story. And for a lot of you guys are already investors. Maybe you're a lender. Maybe you are just starting out, a wholesaler. Maybe you're just starting out. You want to be a buy and hold investor. Wherever you're at in your journey, a big part of accelerating your journey is to actually have ownership of real estate. And the best way to get started doing that is these private money partnership opportunities. And that's why I'm really happy today to be working with Fractional to provide a opportunity for you guys to own these assets with me with a very little amount down relative to what it would normally cost. Usually my capital raises are between $50,000 to $150,000, and that's coming from maybe 1 to 2 people, at the most 4. But because we're able to go the fraction route, we can have many more people as part of this investment. In addition to that, I run my own mentorship called Super Investors. I primarily teach how to buy and hold real estate investments the most efficient way possible. And in my opinion, that's buying deals from wholesalers, but being really great at analyzing deals since the majority of them don't really put great deals under contract. So renegotiating those deals or underwriting them, then renegotiating them, just making them better overall, buying them, whether it's your money or ideally other people's money, and then having great business operations as well as property management. And then I also have my free Wealth to Real Estate School community. You'll see the photo from my wife and I at the Army Bot at top, and the bottom with I'm with Alex Hermosi because my Super Investors community was the fastest growing community on the school platform in the month of November. It was like one of the top 10, which allowed me to go hang out with Hermosi for a day. In addition to that, I go to events, I speak, a few podcasts here and there. I have a really awesome creative finance calculator. I have a free one for you guys to download if you'd like on the Wealth the Real Estate School community. And then my Super Investors community gets a even cooler, just a little higher end creative finance calculator. And it's the only one that I use for all my deals. And then most importantly, I have a beautiful wife. I've been with her since high school, and we introduced our baby girl into the world in when did we do that? So May of 2024. So she's actually gonna be 9 months tomorrow, which is insane. So she's 9 months old on Valentine's Day. So I'm gonna treat my girls tomorrow. And then in addition to that, I am personally coached by Amy Majuri, who helps with capital raising and fix and flips and things like that. And then a lot of Pace More because you have the exact same mentor. I'm fortunate that Pace has played a very vital role in my investing journey. I did join his sub-2 community in September 2022. At that point, I already had 27 rentals, but I was not truly an owner of my business. I basically owned a business that, yes, generated me passive income, but in reality, I was spending my time on things in the business that I had no business spending my time on. After learning a lot from Pace directly and what he would teach throughout the community, I basically completely changed my entire investing strategy to streamline it so I could more efficiently buy great deals, raise money for those deals, and then actually be an owner of my business as opposed to constantly working in the day-to-day of the business. And one of those is one of my key hires and my team members, Leanne. I will bring her up shortly if I'm able to. So Coast to Coast Vets. So as I mentioned, I joined Sub2 in 2022. In September 2022. In 2023, I founded Coast to Coast Vets. Some key highlights about our business is experts in creative finance acquisition strategies. Every single property that I've bought since March of 2023 has been creatively financed. Every single one. I've raised the money for every single one of those as well. So I've acquired over $18 million of real estate in that time alone, in addition to my separate portfolio. And I've raised over $3 million from private money lenders and partners and during that same time period for those deals. I currently own properties in Alaska, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, love Georgia, and I'll explain why, Montana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Washington, as well as a 7-unit in Puerto Rico. So pretty well diversified where. And then although we do all types of management strategies as well. So in-house as part of our business, we have an asset manager as well as virtual assistants that help manage our properties. And we do long-term rentals, mid-term rentals, and short-term rentals. But the main thing that we focus on is co-living or renting our properties out by the room, primarily leveraging the pad split platform. We have over 30 rooms currently rented out as rent by the room, and we are literally at 100% occupancy. And it is our favorite management strategy. It's the majority of deals we've been buying recently, and it is almost exclusively. I can't foresee a reason why we would buy anything but co-living moving forward, primarily because we can get the highest cash flow. We get the highest cash flow. It's the most stable. Short-term rentals can generate solid cash flow, but it's more seasonal. And when there's vacancy, when there's a vacancy in a room or two, you're still making a good portion of your income. Whereas when there's vacancy in a short-term rental, you're making no money at all. And then as opposed to a long-term rental, I can make deals in very great locations, great big properties and, primary markets, cash flow, generate over $1,000 a month in cash flow while still getting awesome ownership benefits as well. So my team is myself. We have a fractional CFO and a fractional COO, as well as my asset manager, Leanne, and then 2 nationwide property managers. So we do have some property management at local locations. However, the majority of what we do is virtual property management, and we just dedicate a lot of time and energy to that. And that's why I really try to focus on specific markets. Additionally, I have a wide array of attorneys, tax professionals, insurance brokers, GCs, agents, and just tons of different professionals that I work with, not only independent from Sub 2, but then also obviously access to our entire Sub 2 community. All right, yeah, so we've got additional team members, but more service-based TCs, transaction coordinators, bookkeepers, tax professionals, designers, and assistants. And with that being said, I think that's enough of an intro. I don't think you guys have any questions on my intro. I'll get into the actual deal itself, and then I'll have Leanne come up as well. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. Oh, okay, so there's Leanne. Cool. Can you guys still see my screen? Excellent. All right, so as a quick overview of the deal now that you kind of know who I am, what I've done, as a quick overview, what I'm looking to do right now is basically bring on partners for a co-living portfolio of 3 properties totaling 7 units, and these are 25 bedrooms. 21 of the bedrooms will be rented out as co-living, and then the other 4 will be 2 long-term rental duplexes. This to provide some stable income in conjunction with the co-living rentals. We have the possibility to convert those duplexes into additional co-living, but because the main house, which already has 10 bedrooms, is going to be co-living, we don't want to oversaturate too quickly, so we can always pivot and add that if we choose to. So with that being said, you guys are here for Super Split Fund 1. This is basically the first time that I'm doing something like this where I'm bringing on capital partners for multiple deals. The reason why this one's awesome is we have a property that is really high appreciation, over hundreds of thousands of dollars of instant equity in this deal because we forced appreciation on the property. We did some massive gut renovation on the property. And the other 2 are lower cost, higher cash flow relative to their purchase price and property value. The total portfolio is worth $2.2 million. And then the majority of the rooms are going to be rented out co-living or pad split. That's the main platform that we utilize. 2 of the properties are in Atlanta, Georgia, literally where pad split started, and we exclusively use pad split to manage those. And then we also have one in Savannah, Georgia, where we will self-manage that one, which is not unusual because we also have a dozen plus that we self-manage ourselves. Our partners, you guys, right, will get to experience the true benefits of ownership. Not only will you get 40% of the cash flow, but you get property appreciation, the debt pay down, the tax deductions, all that good stuff. And the 5-year projected return for you for all those benefits is 100%. So you're looking at 20% return on investment every single year for the next 5 years. And that is all inclusive of the cash flow, the debt pay down, the appreciation and tax benefits, including the instant equity from day one. Not only do you get those benefits, like that number is actually, let's say on the lower end, my CFO, when I was talking with him earlier, I'm basically underselling our deal, which is great. I'd rather undersell or underpromise and overdeliver because there's 2 main reasons why our capital raise is fairly high on this investment. 1, 2 of the 3 properties were complete gut rehab. So like literally at this moment, they're less than 5% of the way from being fully renovated. Once that's done, as they're both being refinanced to put in long-term debt, once that is completed over the next 2 weeks, we will then convert them to pad split or add additional bedrooms to maximize the rent by the room model. It usually makes sense when you're putting in long-term debt to not maximize bedrooms and instead to just make it the best house you can or the best property you can, and then refinance it and then finish the renovations. So 2 of these properties are full gut rehabs, which means we're not like a typical creative finance transaction. People are buying the property at market value and they're adding more debt on top. Well, in this scenario, we bought the properties, renovated it to like this value, and then our loan is much lower than that. So there's instant equity. There's a spread between the amount the properties are worth versus the existing debt on the properties and the long-term debts. And then the other property, although it was not a full gut rehab, it was recently remodeled over the last couple of years, and it's already a fully operational co-living property that we're going to raise a little bit of money to then add a 6th bedroom or at least build out the garage to make it more valuable for our current tenants. That property in Atlanta is already 100% occupied as well. But the higher capital raise is because the full gut rehab, we're walking into equity, but we're essentially paying for that in the sense of the loan and the debt and the contractors. And then additionally, 20% of this total capital raise is going to reserves only because we are in the middle of the refinance process. So depending on the appraisals, we just had our last appraisal today, and then what the loan amount, the loan to value amount, we'll be able to pull on that next week. We want to have extra flexibility, and I'd rather over raise and make sure we have that flexibility for this deal if it, depending on the appraisal amount, but then also have solid reserves for this property as opposed to like the alternative, which is we under raise and then we need to say, hey guys, we need more money, or we have to dilute your shares. I would rather raise the right amount and then give you guys more benefits as opposed to under raise and then say, hey guys, I actually need to bring in more partners. It just made simple sense to me. Once again, under promise, over deliver. That's always the goal. So in addition to that, because the reserves are so high, over $100,000, not only is our portfolio going to be extremely secure with reserves, and just in case anything comes up, it takes longer to rent out, unexpected repairs happen, we have the funds set aside. No one has to worry about capital calls or putting more money in. We also have the flexibility to do some really cool things with that excess capital, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So the total raise of $675,000. Fractional has a charge for using their platform, but Fractional does a lot of awesome things. First of all, because we are raising our capital through Fractional, you are able to come into this instead of the typical 1 to 4 partners. There's a lot more of you guys that can join on this deal and then leverage it not only for solid returns, but for all the other benefits that I mentioned, as well as leveraging it for your own investing journey. So this 675 includes the money that is paid to Fractional, right? So it's not like there's any additional capital anyone wants to put in. It's part of the raise, and then we will pay that out as part of the reserves. And then there is additional fees that you pay to Fractional annually if you choose to, where they will handle some amazing things for you. So not only will they create the business bank account, they have a bookkeeper dedicated to the property. That is inclusive of all the tax returns and all the costs associated with that. Stella will talk more about this at the very end, like all the things that they do, but they make the overall business and portfolio management so much easier so that it's all done right here on the platform. You guys can see transactions like the bank account. You get access to the transactions, you get access to everything. Payouts are done directly through the platform. The bookkeeping is done. Everything's all accounted for. It's amazing the level of transparency and efficiency they have implemented to the platform. So it's not only that we can raise money from more people or raise money, from more individuals for the same amount of capital raise, but really they just make the overall operations way easier as well. All we have to focus on is being great asset managers when we buy the deals and then actually operate the investments as well. So all of those costs are inclusive into the deal. So that's why it was 675 before, but it says 662 because that 13.5 upfront fee is already getting paid out from there. So our reserves are also just covering all those costs as well. So you guys, what I hate is what would be for you guys to invest and then have unexpected costs come up. So I'd rather just account for that up front, even though it makes the returns look worse. A lot of people will present these terms and not account for that. And then really your returns are actually worse than they projected. So I'd rather just share that all with you up front so that these are the all-inclusive costs with a healthy amount of reserves left over on the side. So, to understand if any investment's a good investment for you, it's important to know who's leading the project, right? And what team will manage the investments. How does the investment opportunity function as a whole? What are the projected returns, both the cash flow and the ownership benefits, plus some additional benefits that I'm providing to our partners on this deal? And then what are the overall risks and rewards? I've already gone through, what is Coast to Coast Vets, or who is Coast to Coast Vets, who I am. I'd like to introduce Leanne Sutton. She is my asset manager. Let me see if I can add spotlight. Can you guys see Leanne?
Hi.
Awesome. We can hear you, Leanne. So I'll give you the little intro and then you can say hi. So Leanne has over 20 years of corporate experience. She's been working with me since the end of 2023 as our asset manager. She comes with, an insane amount of corporate experience. And the main role that she has played for us is overseeing renovations, overseeing asset management, as well as overseeing our property management team to ensure that our properties are being managed effectively, our tenants are being taken care of. If there's any maintenance requests or whatever they need, anything that's going on with our property, she's handling them. She's ensuring that our properties are leased up at a high rate. With that, Leanne, oh, well, I guess I missed like 50 other things that you do. So you kind of do
In
everything.
a nutshell. Um, yeah, well, nice to meet you all. But yeah, so basically, like Michael said, so I've had over 20 years of corporate. I would assume most of you have been in some of my stores. I led global design for Adidas. So if anyone knows construction, that's over 50 million plus on one project. So I understand budgets, teams, efficiency, delegate everything to do with build out. So all the things that you might miss and stuff with construction and renovation, I kind of hone that in and note down. With that, because I looked after global, and especially my last 4 years was focused on Latin America, managing teams and building relationships is vital in this business, as we all know. And like that's one skill that I definitely have, to like bring in teams to make sure that we're efficient. They want to work for you, they want to do the project for you, and be able to understand how to speak the language to get things done. So that's just one thing that I'm very, very passionate about and maintain through all the projects that we lead, especially budget and efficiency, making sure everything's done, and not just done, but done right and to quality. So that's one of the things that I'm passionate about for the renovation side. And then again, just from the skill set of that, just managing projects in general and people. And that just ties into real estate. Like my transition from corporate into this was very smooth in that way. Just because of the people piece, the managing, the operational side and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, we got lucky to capture Leanne and that transition mode because she oversees our renovations. She oversees property design and furnishing. She oversees the property management team, right? She should not be the one managing that herself, but overseeing the team and ensuring the property management is done effectively.
Yeah.
And what she's really been specializing in above everything else are short-term rentals and co-living, which is great because those are the most challenging ones to renovate, set up, or design, set up, and then manage. So that's where she's been really specializing in. So thank you, Leanne. I really appreciate that.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. All right, so let's get back to it. We also have our CFO, Michael Glaspie, who's also a Army veteran. He has over 11 years of military service prior to investing in real estate. And he helps us with, all the like you'll see the spreadsheet and all this cool stuff. We take a lot of what's out there and then just make it way better and really understand our numbers in much more detail. And it's great because I'm a numbers guy, I'm a spreadsheet guy, but he is so knowledgeable about this that he can provide a different perspective. And he's part of so many different investments and oversees different real estate investment businesses that he can provide a lot of experience and strategy to us when it comes to all of our financial management. So for anyone that was not familiar with PadSplit or co-living, one of the things I asked in the very beginning, PadSplit is a innovative co-living platform that was founded in 2017. And basically what it does is it helps solve the affordable housing crisis. So not only is co-living or PadSplit my number one favorite strategy because first and foremost, we make the most cash flow and we're able to buy the best properties in the best locations. And the numbers still work. But we're really helping solve a huge problem out there. It is very sad that the majority of people are unable to live in the communities that they work in. Like they literally serve that community and they cannot actually live in that community. They're priced out of it. So when we take these properties in these great locations, usually it's from, someone had a short-term rental that they were not able to successfully operate. Great. We'll buy that from you. And then what we'll do is we will rent that out by the room to individuals. We're able to make that work. And now people who are not able to afford to live in that area, they couldn't pay $1,500 or $2,000 for a studio. They're able to now live for close to $800 to $1,200 a month. And a lot of our houses are housed by tenants, or as Pascal calls them, members that are like young working professionals. So a lot of these guys in general just need a great place to go to sleep at night, just a good, safe, comfortable home to sleep in at night. But they're spending the majority of their time at work, eating out, hanging out with friends. They're rarely are they cooking in the kitchens and the common areas, which a lot of people think, oh, how do you handle all that? We really have little to no complaints on that side because the tenants that are primarily attracted to this type of housing already know what they're getting into. Like they already know the type of lifestyle they're moving into. They were probably most recently in that phase, whether they were living with their parents, coming out of college, something like that, or and they're really not cooking in the common areas. and they're not really spending a ton of time in the common areas. They spend time in their room, or primarily they just want to live in a great part of the city so then they can go and enjoy the amazing city that they literally live in, where they were priced out before. So yes, so pad split significantly increases rental income for property owners. Absolutely. While providing high cost effective housing solutions for residents. Pad split is the equivalent of like Airbnb is for short-term rentals. That's what pad split is for co-living. So basically they are a platform where tenants, or what they call members, are able to find, they're able to find like rentals or listings for them, like rent by the room listings to live in. And that's what pad split spends a ton of their time, money, and energy on, is finding more tenants to look for housing on this platform. They don't need to really incentivize or ask us as investors to use their platform, because it just makes a lot of financial sense. And if you're in Pace's community, Subtier or any of them, he talks all about co-living, not only how it's dominant now, but how it's going to be the most important asset class moving forward, just because if we think it's bad now, it's only going to get worse over time. Unfortunately, through inflation and just economic changes, housing prices, interest rates, everything, people are going to get more and more priced out of where they live and work, or where they work. So this affordable housing, this co-living style, is really beneficial to be able to allow them to live there. I'm going to leave a lot of this other, like that's the gist of pad split. Help you find tenants. They also help you manage your tenants on there. They pay their income on there. If they have maintenance requests, you communicate with them on there. There's still supplemental management that needs to get done, to move in your tenants, to actually send out the contractors, things like that. And that's where Leanne and our VA team come in, our property managers come in, to then be able to manage the property management side of it, just to complement what pad split is doing. And 2 of the 3 properties are in Atlanta, and the other one's in Savannah, which is not a pad split market, but we are very familiar with renting out properties separate from the pad split platform. And then we have 100% occupancy currently for all of our properties, whether they're on pad split or off pad split. So we have no lack of experience in that area, I guess. We have a full dedicated team to it. It's not like something that I'm telling you I'm going to do, because I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. That's not my thing. I have to talk to tenants. That's not my strength. That's what Leanne and the team does. That's why I have awesome asset management. That's what they help crush for us. If you want to learn more about pad split, it's on, actually, I see Stella drop the link in here. You can look at the project. There's way more in here. But let's keep going on. All right, so why should you choose to invest with Coast to Coast Vets? Well, we're helping you maximize your return on investment. Not only are you getting kind of the cash flow benefits that a private money lender would get, you're also getting the equity growth, and you're getting the property appreciation benefits, debt pay down, and the tax benefits. We're building wealth through appreciation. We have an awesome social impact because of the co-living model that we're implementing. And then you're working with leaders in this space. I not only lead a phenomenal community of super investors that are primarily focused on co-living, I help lead trainings, whether you're in sub-tier or owners club. You definitely know that's the case. And not only am I doing that within the communities I'm part of, or let's say a mentor for, but I'm also helping lead the way out, to newer real estate investors as well. It's the main focus area, the main thing I talk about. Creative financing, co-living. It's the most obvious combination for me to really build wealth through real estate investing, whether it's for myself or for you guys. That's why it's awesome to bring you guys in as partners on this deal, so you can benefit from that as well. Risk analysis and mitigation strategies. I will let you guys read through all this. Every single investment has risk. We analyzed it. We analyzed them not only for the area, for the strategy, for all of it, but then we also provide the mitigations for it. Basically, market fluctuations, financing risks. We're good because we have 3.5% seller finance debt, and then long-term DSCR loans on the 2 new rehabs. Regulatory changes, for example, zoning laws. This is not like short-term rentals. Short-term rentals suck from a regulatory or like local perspective, because they theoretically, and the percentage is small, but they are theoretically taking housing from people who should be able to live there because they can make much more income through that strategy. However, co-living is very different. There is literally no one that wants to be the champion of deregulating the ability for people to be able to live in their homes, basically affordable housing. No local government, no agency, no entity is going to champion that to reduce the amount of affordable housing. Maybe we'll have an HOA or something like that tries to push it, but we don't deal with HOAs. We do not buy properties in it that have HOAs. But not only is there, like, no one is going to champion that, the way that Pad Split operates is our only actual tenant is Pad Split. So our tenants are not tenants, they're members of Pad Split, and that is our tenant. So we do not have, we can circumvent a lot of those concerns. And then we implement a similar model for our own properties that we self-manage, so that we also are able to circumvent those regulatory issues. And I don't see any laws changing in the near future, making it harder for affordable housing to operate. A lot of states and cities have done the exact opposite. They've made it even easier. They are the ones championing affordable housing, because people, government or not, right? They understand that people deserve a place to live, especially if they're working in that place. Doesn't mean you're going to get a luxury home, no, but you also get an opportunity to live somewhere that you're actually serving. Construction delays and costs. Well, lucky for you, there is none, because one is fully operational. The other two properties that are wrapping up their refinance right now are fully renovated, or they're like 99% of the way done with renovations. And then once we close and complete the refinance, all we have to do is add 2 bedrooms to one. Are we doing anything else for Adele, or is Adele done, Leanne?
Adele's just got 1 additional bedroom to add.
So we have 2 bedrooms to add in one.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2 bedrooms to add in one bedroom to add in the other. Well, the great part is we already have our contractors, the exact same contractors who did the previous part. There's no question about the pricing. The pricing is the pricing. We already have that down. And the timeline is the timeline. They already are working on our timeline. It's not like we're asking them to come out in the future. We've been working together for this whole project. So everything is already established, renovated, and ready to go for the next phase to convert to co-living. And the third one is literally a fully operational co-living property. I'll leave a lot of this here, but tenant turnover, this one's not really a huge issue for us, only because we really care about our tenants, like we truly do. So we make sure our properties are quality, the properties as a whole. We make sure that the rooms that they're renting are quality, the common areas are quality. We're not doing the bare minimum like a lot of people do. Honestly, financially, a lot of people think the best route is to be a slumlord, to spend as little as they can and do as little as they can for their tenants to yield the highest returns. From my entire investing journey, and also logically, maybe not obviously intuitively, maybe intuitively makes sense to like do the bare minimum, but honestly, what works out the best is to take care of your tenants and take care of your properties, because then your tenants that you're bringing in take care of you and your properties. I have literally never had a tenant not perform, not pay rent, not do anything without communicating and then working on a plan together. Where a lot of people, if you're not taking care of your tenants, they think of you as that crappy landlord that is just out there trying to, I guess, take advantage of them or whatever it is. Mine and our business's management strategy is to take care of our tenants, take care of our properties, and then we have always, in return, have had our tenants take care of us and our properties. So it's not even a concern for us. And when you see some of these photos, you'll see that our properties, they're not the bare minimum. They're designed, they look nice, they're great properties. You'll see we'll have some photos actually in the near future, once the renovations are complete in the next few days, of the property. You'll just see we didn't cut any corners or skimp anything just to try to save $1. It's, first of all, it's not the financially wise decision. And secondarily, these are people that are living in our properties. They're paying us good rent. They deserve to live there. We're making solid returns, and they deserve a high quality house to live in. All right, long-term value. All of our properties are in great markets. Atlanta and Savannah, Georgia, phenomenal markets in the short term, the long term. Anything can happen in the very near future, right? With politics, economy, whatever. But over the long term, real estate appreciates over 5% annually. When you look at the historical average, we don't even account for that in our numbers. We account for 4%. We go more conservative. And remember that 5% is including the best markets and the worst markets. And we're definitely above average in the markets that we're investing in Georgia. So the 3 properties that we're talking about is one in Savannah, Georgia. This is we're walking into, actually, this is actually $500K of equity, instant equity. This property, the debt is under $1 million, and our appraised value is 1.4, so over $400,000. I'm sorry, $400,000 of instant equity. This is a little outdated because we thought it was going to price slightly lower. We appraised at 1.425 million. the property is renting, or the property debt is going to be under $1,997,500. I was with the lender before trying to see, actually these numbers are even better now because I was able to reduce our interest rate by 1/8 of a point, but 1/8 of a point on $1 million debt is great. More cash flow, more of our monthly payment is going towards paying down the principal of the debt as opposed towards interest. So, I'm fighting every tooth and nail to make sure that we're getting the best deal that we can here. Our Fredericksburg property is So the Savannah one there's a main house that's going to be co-living, 8 bedrooms, and the back unit is a duplex that we're going to rent out long-term. And then as owners of this property, we will vote if we want to convert the long-term rentals into co-living, depending on how the first one does, and depending on the reserves that we have at that time. The next one is Fredericksburg, which is a duplex in Atlanta, Georgia, fully operational, 100% occupied, 5-bedroom co-living property. Cash flows nicely. It's a beautifully remodeled property, beautifully furnished property, 2 kitchens. We have an extra whole garage space that we're going to leverage some of the capital to make more storage and make it just more of a usable space for our tenants. And then this one is awesome because it's a seller finance deal. So we have a 3.5% interest rate loan on this property alone, which is awesome. And then we're walking into that, us as a collective are walking into that one as in like a year and a half after the loan was originated. So even more of our monthly payments are going towards paying on the principal. It's crazy because, I don't know if you guys are geeks like me, but when you look at the amortization schedule and the principal paydown on this $400,000 3.5% interest rate loan is the equivalent of the principal paydown on this $1 million loan, just because the difference in interest rates. So the interest rate on the Savannah property is going to be around 7.625. I'm still fighting to get it even a little lower. I'm working with the lenders to see what can be done. Thankfully, because we're doing 2 big loans with them, we can, negotiate a little bit more. And then they're the same ones financing our Adele property in Atlanta, Georgia. This one's a fully remodeled 2-unit, or really it's a main unit with an in-law suite. It's not zoned as a 2-unit. Historically, it's got 2 beaners and all that, but it will operate as a main house and in-law suite. And this one is ready to go, just got appraised. And the plan for this one is to furnish it right away, or do the last bedroom addition, furnish it, and then rent it out immediately. And this one is, Leanne's been working on the pad split listing, so it's not like we're waiting until after this project is done. We're moving forward either way. Whether you're a partner or not, we're still moving forward. We're getting this deal done. We're getting it rented. We're getting everything moving forward. Hopefully you guys are our partners on it, but we're not stopping. So depending on the reserves, after 1 year of stability, we're going to start off with around $130,000 reserves. I'm going to automatically set aside $50,000 in reserves for the portfolio as a whole, right? We're going to continue building that through rental income, but we're going to set that aside as reserves for the property. So we know in case anything comes up, we have that for the property, no matter what. No one has to worry about it. There's money set aside for these properties. For the excess, especially if we're able to reduce the debt a little bit, we're able to, we always slightly overestimate renovations and furnishings. If we save on that, depending on how much is left over, which we're anticipating between $50,000 to $100,000, we as a collective, as partners on this deal, will vote if we want to either purchase a 4th investment property with that excess reserves, or we can set that aside as additional reserves, or kind of an intermediate. We can take that money and put it in a high yield savings account, generating between 3 to 4% interest rate. Whatever scenario we do, the numbers are estimated. The 100% return over the next 5 years is the analysis for these 3 properties alone. So anything that we do is going to just further drive the returns. And if we did nothing at all with that and just set it aside as reserves to give ourselves peace of mind, you're still getting the 100% return on investment over that 5-year period, right? So it's only up from there, depending on how us as owners collectively will vote to proceed with those excess reserves. So how this opportunity works, Stella will go into it in much more detail, but basically if you want to join the project, you click join project, and all you do is you submit a deposit. Then the fractional team, that's 2% of the amount that you're going to contribute. The minimum we have for this is $25,000 because we don't really want over 20 partners collectively on this deal. As you can see, we just started this presentation. We already have several partners that have come in and funded already 1/3 of the loan, or 1/3 of the capital raise. And with that, yeah, so you're going to put 2% down payment. I should refresh. Oh, geez. Let's refresh and I'll scroll back down. Thanks, Stella. Holy guacamole, we're at 375,000. That's incredible. Thank you, Stella. I didn't even know. Yeah, there you go. I see one of my partners right now dancing. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys for being on this deal. Because this is, yes, this is a phenomenal deal with phenomenal returns, instant equity, cash flow, all that good stuff. But I'm going to make it even better for you guys. And I'll just kind of go into that. We'll round it out with that right now. So, and then we'll play with the spreadsheet. For anyone that wants to look at the spreadsheet, the returns, all that, you guys have access to it. I've actually linked it. I don't know. Wait a minute. Oh, I will. Oh, here it is. Investment portfolio analysis. So I linked it here. If you want to play with the spreadsheet, take a look at it. I believe it's view only. So if it's not, don't edit it. It's view only. If it's not, I'll make sure to update that link. And I'll say that for the end because not everyone is overly concerned about every little detail about it. But I want to share it with you if that's something you're interested in. So basically, raising the money on the deal, all you do is you put it in the deposit. Once you put in your deposit, which is 2% of the amount you're going to contribute, minimum is $25,000. You're a partner on this deal. Fractionals team will then contact you and say, hey, what account do you want to use? Personal funds, your self-directed IRA, solo 401k, whatever. Like, do you have an LLC that you're funding this deal with? Whatever you want to use, you can use. You commit right now with whatever capital source you have. And then that deposit is then refunded to you later. So if you do $100,000, because that's easy math, you put in $2,000 as your deposit. And then whenever you decide, like whenever you work with fractionals team, whenever you decide the amount that you're going to, or where it's going to come from when they contact you and you confirm it, you're going to put in your $100,000 in that future date, and that $2,000 is coming back to you, right? So that $2,000 is not something, whatever, it's going to have to come from a personal account upfront to lock your spot in there. But that's crazy, 375. So it's throwing me off. Whatever capital you put in right away, it's not what you're locked into forever. So if you have a self-directed IRA or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. You just need to put that in to lock it in. And then Stella will explain it way better than I will. So once that's all done, we're creating an LLC for all of our partners, Super Split LLC, Super Split One LLC. So basically the model is super investors split because it's a split fund in the sense of we're bringing in co-owners, we're splitting the ownership benefits with all of you guys, and we're leveraging the pad split model. We're leveraging the co-living platform. So Super Split One LLC. This is the start of potentially many. So if you're seeing this and you're not liquid right now, don't worry. Or if this thing gets funded before you have a chance to, I'm sorry. We'll see you in the next one. So, but I don't want to keep refreshing because I don't want to keep scrolling down. But all right. So once that's all done, you guys will have your LLC, operating agreement, all that good stuff will be done. That's already included in the cost. These are not extra things you have to worry about. You don't need to get your attorney unless you choose to have your attorney review whatever you want. You don't need them to draft your LLC. You don't need them to draft your operating agreement. You don't need them to do any of that. That's part of what we are paying fractional for, is to do that for you guys to make it easier. All right, so the funds are primarily going to be used to pay off private money lenders on these projects, hard money lenders, whatever is needed to contractors, furnish the properties, and then just leave a healthy amount of reserves. Like I mentioned, we're anticipating like $100,000 to $150,000 in reserves. And then after we stabilize the properties and we set aside 50,000, we collectively will decide how do we want to handle that as all co-owners of this portfolio, whether we want to buy another deal, just put in a high savings account, or just keep it in reserves in the bank account. Whatever. I'm open to your guys' suggestion. We'll vote on that collectively. At the end of the 60 months, members of the LLC will have the opportunity to either receive their equity payout, so get the money you put in, and then your additional equity payout, or remain in the deal for the long term and still retain your ownership percentage. So we'll decide if we're going to refinance it and keep it long term. We will decide collectively how to proceed at that point. What's one thing I wanted to mention? Oh, so then payouts for your cash flow. So not only are there long-term benefits, every single quarter, you guys are going to be receiving your cash flow checks. So, every single, 3 months, you're going to get your cash flow. It's going to be paid quarterly. This is really small. I apologize. This is the total portfolio analysis. So showing year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, we get massive appreciation, basically instant equity on 405. Massive instant equity because we're walking into this deal because we renovated and appreciated the value. with over $500,000 of instant equity that you guys are getting ownership of, and you'll get paid out on that in the future, right? That's part of the benefits you're walking into, but it shows the cash flow, the debt pay down, and the tax benefits for you. And this is the total capital raise, fractional equity share. So you guys are going to be 40% owners. I don't think I've seen another one on fractional, and I'm not, overly on their website, but I've seen a lot of these. They offer around 30 to 33% ownership. We said we're going to do 40%. We're going to push it to another level because we want this to be the start of many more partnership deals with you guys. So 40% ownership for you guys. Minimum entry is $25,000. This is your breakdown for the $25,000 investment. You will receive just under, so this is rounded up, it's like 99.8 or something like that, 99.5% ROI, return on investment on your money. So 20% per year is the average. And then this is the breakdown of what that looks like. So you get if in 5 years, you're done, you want to be cashed out, excellent. That's your choice. You have the opportunity to do that. And you'll get your 25K back as well as your additional returns over that time period, which is awesome. So these are the projected returns. I talked a lot about this stuff. Basically, once again, I just want to highlight the capital raise is not just, I'm not just raising the bare minimum and then going to ask you in 3 months and say, hey guys, this unexpected thing came up. Let's all deal with it now. Everyone put in another, $500, $1,000, whatever. We're over raising for reserves so that we have the opportunity to do what we want with it once the properties are stabilized. If we do have renovations, I don't even know how that'd be possible. If we have renovation costs go up above what we anticipated, or furnishing costs cost more, which furnishing, I mean, really, what's it gonna cost? 5K more. Like, there's very little that it can overshoot. Like, it's pretty reasonable. We do it. We've done it dozens of times. We have a literal spreadsheet for our properties that it's already modeled out what the cost will be. Leanne's nodding her head. She's like, dude, it's like, you're giving fake examples.
That's
These
like,
are not
no
things
way.
to worry about.
It's good. I know my stuff.
So,
Okay.
right. So once the properties are stabilized, actually it says 3 months. I decided to change it to 12 months. We will decide what to do. So I think the first thing that we will do with those excess reserves, we will put them in a high yield savings account, because instead of making 0.01% return on money, we can just make 3 to 4% while having healthy reserves set aside. At that 1 year mark, we will collectively decide as owners of this property, do we want to leverage anything that's in excess of the 50K reserves to buy another co-living property in Georgia? I will tell you, my CFO and my COO earlier today told me I'm an idiot. I should not even be offering this, because 100% annualized return or 100% 5-year return or 20% a year is already more than enough. The numbers are already there based on those 3 properties that you guys getting solid returns. However, I'm also an investor. So if we have money set aside, you guys are all investors. We got money set aside. If we can make more money with that safely and comfortably, we might as well make more money with that. And even better, you guys will be part of that decision-making process of which deals we want to buy. What are we looking for? Do you like this one? How do we remodel it? All that good stuff. A lot of the stuff that I already do with my community, you guys will all be part of that experience as well. You guys are always welcome to join my community too. That's a whole other thing. Barbara, I will get you your question at the end. I will show you the spreadsheet and we'll go over everything together for the returns. Let's see. And I'll do all the questions. So keep dropping your questions. I'll scroll through everything and answer all of them at the very end. Or we just keep the reserves as is. Like I said, I'm an investor. I think it's best that we will have a discussion. Do we want to find another property and invest together, or leave it in high yield savings account, or just keep it, in the bank account? With that being said, I can answer questions and then go over the actual returns, the projected returns, showing you how all this looks on the spreadsheet. For anyone that would like to stay for that, I would assume a lot of you would, and for the people on the recording, I know a lot of you guys want to see that, of course. I feel like there was something important to mention as well that I think I forgot. Oh yeah, duh. Because I am so passionate about this model and this investment strategy, primarily co-living, I'm offering additional benefits. I don't know why it's not in here. I'm offering additional benefits to our partners on this deal. So I'm hosting a co-living, so rent by the room, pad split, mastermind at the end of May. Leanne's going to be there, a couple other people, or plenty of people from my super investor community, as well as guest speakers. Pace Morby has said he will be there. I know Pace, busy guy. He may or may not be there. If he comes, it's a bonus. Don't expect him to come, even if he told me. Don't expect him to come. But if he does, awesome. If he doesn't, oh well. It's fine. We'll see him somewhere else. Love you, Pace. If if you're an investor on this deal, if you invest the minimum $25,000, you are going to get access to the recordings to the entire mastermind. Everything that's going to happen, you're going to get recordings to it. If you invest $50,000 as your minimum, as your investment, you will actually get a free, not free, you'll get an invite to the mastermind. And yes, your ticket is included in that for the mastermind. So you'll get a free ticket to join the mastermind. It's going to be limited to super investors and our partners on this deal. So this is going to be a very small group of people even invited to this mastermind. And then the third tier, if you have 100,000 or more, which we definitely did, we have someone who's invested over $100,000 in this deal. You not only get access to the event, you get a VIP upgrade, which is going to include an additional bonus mastermind with the speakers and a private dinner. And you're also going to get to stay at one of my incredible properties. It's a mansion in San Diego, multi-million-dollar mansion. It's where we're going to host the event. It's where if you invest that amount, you'll get to stay there complimentary. That's included as part of your investment. So not only are you getting phenomenal returns, you're getting ownership benefits, you're getting the mastermind access. I'm also going to be hosting a exclusive meetup at the property. So Leanne, I'm telling you this now because it's happening in real time. So we're going to host a meetup at the sometime in the middle to the end of March at the Henry property, the biggest, most beautiful property in Savannah, Georgia. Leanne and I want to go check it out too. We want to be there with it. We have a phenomenal contractor. We will go to that property together. I'll bring a videographer, photographer. We'll take a bunch of cool content, make videos, because you're not a lender on this deal. You're a partner. You're a co-owner. I'm going to help you leverage that as much as possible, whether you want to continue being a lender or partner, or you want to be the actual investor. I'm going to show you and basically force you to create content and leverage the credibility of being an owner. You're not a lender. You literally own this property. You are an owner of this property. I'm going to help you leverage that for your own buying real estate. You're going to leverage the credibility, the deal, all that good stuff, the whole experience, everything you're going to learn to then be able to be an investor in future deals like this, whether you're using your own money or you're raising money from other people. You can leverage all of this, and I will provide you the credibility as a co-owner of this deal and whatever I can do to help support your investing journey. So I'm doing all of that. Obviously, phenomenal returns, co-ownership. The standard is you lend, you get a certain interest rate return, whatever. We're doing the ownership benefits. We're doing the mastermind. We're doing the meetup at the property with photos, videographer. And it sounds crazy. And like I'm telling you, my CFO, COO said, like, why are you doing all this? Because I have the best mentor in the real estate game, Pace Morby. And Pace Morby does these kinds of things. Pace Morby has a great heart. He takes care of people. He really helps you. And I've only had one real estate mentor, and that's Pace. And I'm fortunate that I've been able to learn from someone like that who is such a go-giver. And in August of 2024, when I decided to retire, I was actually going to retire from real estate investing. He challenged me. He said, your goal now is to help other people on their journey to financial freedom. And that's what everything's been about. Super Investors Community got built. The idea for doing things like this type of co-ownership with multiple partners got built. The masterminds, the events, how can I add as much value as possible? That's where all this comes from. So thank you, Pace. For everyone who's going to get to enjoy all those benefits, thank you, Pace. With that being said, So Bill, great question. Do you get access to the super investor community? No, that's separate. If you're a super investor and you are an investor, you're an investor in this deal partner, so you get a slight upgrade. You get a upgrade on every single level of kind of the benefits that I mentioned. So you put in 25K and you're a super investor, you actually get the attendance to the event. All super investors get access to the recordings. Whatever I mentioned for the mastermind, you get one level upgrade. That's a thank you to my super investors community. Wow, $430,000. That's insane. We're a quarter of the way from being done. And this number, I'm not saying this for urgency because I'm literally the last guy to make people feel urgent or whatever. When I talk to my lender tomorrow, depending on how the appraisal went and what the actual cash to close will be, this number might be closer to $600,000. Part of that contingency is depending on the appraisal and what that looks like for the refinance. So if we don't need more money, because I don't want to keep more money in reserves than we need to, I'd rather just raise money in a future deal for future deals together. But if that number does change substantially, so I'm going to reduce this amount. I'm not saying that to make you urgent. I seriously hope that's not the reason why you invest, because of something like that. That's silly. You should have investment criteria, investment goals you're trying to meet. You should try to partner with people that you truly want to work with. I mentioned a bunch of other cool, fluffy things. Don't invest in this investment. Honestly, do not invest in this investment if you're doing it for the mastermind, if you're doing it for the meetup, if you're doing it for because I made it urgent. Don't invest for those reasons, please. Maybe that's the cherry on top, but like that should not be your decision-making process. Phenomenal investment, co-ownership benefits, 100% ROI over the 5-year hold period. It's annualized 20% returns. That's insane. Instant equity, credibility for investing journey. Everything else is just appreciation to you guys. That's all it is. With that being said, let's go to the, wow, 4:30. Crazy. Let's go to the actual investment. So a lot of you guys are here. Excellent. You guys want me to zoom out or zoom in? Someone comment. I don't know what I should be doing. Can you guys see pretty well? No. I get yes, and I get zoom in a little bit. All right. So here's our 3 properties. So we're going to talk about it from the perspective of appreciation, cash flow, debt pay down, and then the tax benefits, which come from depreciation and loan interest. And you'll see a lot of my numbers are actually very conservative as well, because we can actually, I could have made this like 150% return by if we did a cost segregation study on this beautiful Savannah $1 million+ property, and we were able to take the depreciation and accelerate it over the next 5 years. We might still collectively, as owners of this property, decide to do that if tax benefits is a huge thing for the majority of our investors, right? However, this number, if I did that, if I took this property value and instead, or this annual depreciation, so it's 100% return, if I did that, just to show you, and divided it by 5 years instead, we would be able to get annual depreciation to $228,000. You only get that's the depreciation. You only get a portion of that for your taxes, right? Depending on your tax bracket. But that would make this investment, okay, so 113%. It would have been an easy way for me to boost the returns, but I'm not going to do that because maybe we decide we don't want to do that. If the plan is to sell the property in 5 years, it's not there's benefits to depreciating and like doing the cost seg and accelerating the depreciation, but then you're gonna get that depreciation is going to be recaptured in 5 years. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Talk to your CPA. Talk to your CPA, talk to your accountant. I'm not any of those things. I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm not doing any of that stuff. All the contingencies are out of the way. But we will collectively decide if that's something we want to do. But I didn't want to boost the numbers up for easy wins. I want you guys to truly understand the numbers and the conservative estimates that we have going into it. So for the sake of appreciation, we're not doing the 5% annualized appreciation. We're doing 4%. And the majority of our appreciation is coming literally from day one. Henry, we have between the appraised value and the debt on the property, there's $427,500 spread day one. Day one, you're walking into that. That is not normal in a creative finance transaction. Usually you're buying a property at market value to get creative terms. This was not that scenario. We bought the property, we renovated it, we forced appreciated it, we got it appraised even higher than we anticipated. That was awesome. And that means we're all walking into $427,500 of instant equity. Fredericksburg, this is a 3.5% seller finance deal with a debt under $400,000 at 3.5% interest rate. And the appraised value is around $450,000 for this duplex. Adele, this is the question mark. We will see. We're anticipating a $325,000 appreciation. Whether this increases or decreases a little bit, it's still going to be, the debt is still going to be 80% loan to value either way. So the equity spread is going to be the same. It's just going to vary kind of what the entry costs are. But we don't have to worry about that because we're raising the money for the entry costs already. So there's no additional money that's going to be put in. What I mean to say is this is the instant equity you walk into day one. Whether this number changes a little bit and this loan amount changes a little bit, and if that's the case, that means our cash flow increases. So it's actually a benefit because the money is already set at the capital raise amount. So this breaks down the 5-year appreciation. You can just take a look at it, but this is the value of the property, and the majority of the property appreciation over the 5 years is coming from the day one. So it's not like I'm telling you these properties will magically increase in value, 4% a year, whatever. We're also building in a bunch of equity day one. That is a luxury of this type of investment. Basically, it's called, I don't know if you're familiar with a BRRRR. You buy a property, you renovate it, you rent it out, you refinance it. We're actually refinancing the renting it out. Nonetheless, and then you repeat. But we usually, the last R in Burr is like renting as a long-term rental. This is the burp method. So we're doing everything else, but renting it out co-living at the end. I mean, refinance as a long-term rental. Something I'll explain more in the future, especially to super investors and investors on this deal, because it's what we've done for this property. It's how you get a bunch of equity going into a great property and still maintain solid cash flow and equity. Meaning, actually, this is great too. It's not even like we took the debt as high as you possibly could. We're at a 70%. So we could have gone as high as 80%, 80% loan to value. We went 70% to be much more conservative with our numbers so that we have a bunch of equity walking into this thing day one. So that's it for appreciation. There's a bunch of appreciation. I'm still working with our lenders to see if I can get better interest rates. I was able to reduce this from 7.99 earlier to 7.625%, which is awesome. We'll see what happens with the Atlanta one, if it's going to be 7.7, or yeah, the Adele, 7.75, maybe 7.625, or we might even do 7.5%. It just depends on our lenders. I can't guarantee that one. Cash flow. So this breaks down the cash flow, our income with more analysis, the actual individual spreadsheets for each of these. It accounts for property management costs. I see a lot of people do like rules of thumb. That's not, we're not rules of thumb people here. We actually analyze line item by line item. So here, that's Henry. Like you can click these and check out the spreadsheets. And basically it has the, if you're familiar with my underwriting and my analysis, super investors and all that, this will make sense to you. If you're not, go watch a few of my YouTube videos at Super Investors REI right here, linked here, and you can learn a little bit about how I analyze deals. It's got all the debt info. It's got where the money's going to. And then the analysis is literally broken down by where the money's actually going to, including money for pad split. It's going for money for property management, money for vacancy. Even though we're at 100% occupied, we still leave vacancy reserves just in case, because it's not, we're always 100% occupied. Leave money aside, even though this is a recently renovated property. And we already have reserves up front for it. That's part of the capital raise. We're still setting aside reserves for this property. This is really broken down in detail for you guys to be able to look at this stuff. I should probably clean up the whole spreadsheet to make it easier, but it's all broken down for you. So you can click that and go into much more detail because we're already over the hour. I want to make sure to answer questions, but here's the cash flow projections. And another thing that I did to be conservative, which my CFO did not recommend, a lot of people will say, hey, the expenses are fixed over the next 5 years, but our rental income is going to increase 3 to 5% every single year. I didn't do that. I didn't forecast rental income to increase over this whole period. We're going off day one, like initial analysis cash flow, and multiplying that by 5. So in theory, we're going to get even better returns over time as rents tend to climb over, like historically, that's the norm. Debt pay down. So this is not like a assumption. This is the amortization schedules on each of these. There's amortization schedules showing you, if you go to, so the debts here, the DSCR loans, it's the same as the seller finance payment schedule. I'll clean this up and erase a bunch of the things that are irrelevant. This is just my full calculator. But this is telling you, this is the payment. This much goes towards interest. This much is going towards principal. These are the real numbers for the next 5 years. They're not like, I'm not guessing. I don't guess when it comes to investing. That's how you end up in very bad scenarios when you start guessing and hoping and wishing. So don't do that. And don't invest for the mastermind. Invest for the numbers that make sense for you and if it aligns with your investing goals. All right. That's the last caveat on that. So there's cash flow, debt pay down. So the debt pay down over the next 5 years. Depreciation. So this is the actual depreciation, assuming an 80% property value. Like, so there's the total value of the property. Typically, the rule of thumb is 80% of the property value is what you can depreciate over a 27.5. Whoops, this needs to change back to 27.5. That's 5 years is if we accelerate depreciation. If we decide we have way too much in taxes to pay, we really want to get the maximum tax benefits we can do that. We can maximize the depreciation for the next 5 years. I would go against that because it limits our options for the exit in the future. But if it's like, hey, we all really want a bunch of tax benefits, that's the way you would do that. That's one way you could do that. This property has so much value to it, just the property and the furnishings, that you get massive tax benefits. Because you not only get the tax benefits, and I didn't account for that either as a conservative estimate. I only accounted for the tax benefits from the properties. All the furnishings, all of those costs that we're paying for, all of that are tax deductible as well. I didn't want to include that in here, but those are other benefits. Once again, under promise, over deliver. Why? Because I want to work with you guys over the long term, right? And I want you guys to do the same as really great investors that are taking care of your partners. That's the goal. All right. And then the loan, interest is tax deductible. It's not a straight deduction. You don't save $75,000. paid an interest towards your taxes, you save a portion of that. And this just summarizes everything over the 5-year hold, highlighting that a lot of the appreciation is that year one from that equity that we're walking into. I gotta probably stop saying walking into. You guys are walking into the equity. We worked hard for that equity. We bought the property, renovated it, all of that stuff to build this equity for all of us to be able to walk into as part of this investment. So I guess I'm saying we didn't walk into nothing. We like hammered into it, I guess. All right. And then once again, this breaks up the total capital raise. Your guys' equity share on this. So you guys are owning 40% of the deal. The minimum investment is $25,000, buying you 3.7% share. Each person that puts in $25,000, that's the equivalent of a 3.7% share of the fractional equity share. This breaks down the cash flow. So let's see. This was a great question that was asked. So I-38 times C40. Okay, perfect. So this cash flow is the 5-year cash flow for your investment of the $25,000. So that translates to, I can quickly see around what is that? Is that right? I-38 C4. So the fractional returns, and then your portion of that is, okay. So these are your returns for that deal. Cash flow, appreciation, debt pay down, tax benefits for every $25,000 investment you put in. That's why I'm hoping people just do it in $25,000 increments. Stella said we can't limit people to only doing $25,000 at a time. If we could have, that would have been cool, because that means we could have more partners on this instead of, I'm happy to have partners that put in more. That's awesome. But at the same time, you could have had more partners, and it would have been easier increments, right? Someone's going to put in 30K and all that. I said, I didn't want to do the math on all that. Stella said, I don't have to. They'll do it. I said, perfect. You guys are worth the money. Handle the math on that. That was the real reason. Stella, handle the math on that. Appreciate you guys. So these are your fractional benefits in addition to getting your capital back. Your return is, let's see, it's not 100%. It's 99.54%. So it rounds up, right? We'll say 99.5%. And so you get your initial return back as well as your fractional benefits over that 5-year hold period. And then you decide, you want to be cashed out? Do you want us to refinance? Do you want to be part of this over the long term? We decide collectively on what we want to do, and each individual gets that choice as well, what they want to do. And there's a little bit more info here. Disregard the Dell one. I haven't updated it fully until I get the numbers from the lender. But Henry and Fredericksburg are good. And then also the analysis is here for each spreadsheet. So with that being said, I think I've answered every single question that was asked. I'm going to refresh one last time to see where we're at. We might be at 4:30 still, which is good. 4:30. Awesome. So appreciation gets paid out at the 5-year, like at your exit, right? If you decide, or we collectively decide, let's sell off all the properties, everyone gets paid out their appreciation at that 5-year hold. But appreciation is not something you realize unless you sell a property or refinance a property, or take out additional debt against it. We're not going to take a home equity line of credit or anything like that. We're not going to take this and make it risk averse in the sense of having solid or like a good amount of equity and all that stuff, and then just take out additional debt willy-nilly. The goal is either we sell the property and we all realize all that appreciation benefit plus everything else throughout that period, or we refinance it, put in new debt if we choose to, and then pull out some of the capital that we have, or you guys choose independently. You guys as the partners choose independently. Do you want to be part of it over the long term, or do you want to be part of it over the short term, or over for like an even longer period of time, or is that 5-year your ideal exit? So this is a 5-year hold period, right? The money, you don't come in as a private money partner unless your goal is to own this thing for a little bit of time. And 5 years is that good balance where you get solid appreciation, debt pay down, and the tax benefits. You get to realize that for a decent amount of time, in addition to also getting solid cash flow. So that being said, I think Stella's gonna, yeah. So quarterly is paid out. Okay, Hardeep, great question. So basically, cash flow is paid out quarterly. Every quarter, cash flow is paid out, right? Based on the returns of the property, cash flow is paid out. Tax benefits are taken annually. So the property gets the tax benefits. It's broken down for the property, and then your percentage of that, you get that assigned through a K1. And that K1 is what you provide to your tax. And that's what Stella and the fractional team will provide you guys, is your K1, which is then brought to your CPA, basically telling them how much cash flow you got, how much tax benefits you get, and then the appreciation and the debt pay down. So like, you have a property, right? As it's appreciating in value, actually, this is the better example. So this is what the property was at. It is appreciating in value, so it's increasing in value, and the debt itself is getting paid down over time. That difference, that spread right here, is the equity. That is then realized at the sale or refinance in the future. That's the 5-year hold. So you get cash flow quarterly, tax benefits annually, and then the equity is tapped into at that exit, whether it's refinance or sale, which we will decide collectively as owners for this investment. Karen, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate you. Thank you for saying it's a great presentation. No worries, you can't invest this time. I just wanted to share this with a lot of people as well. Yes, Ron, exactly. You get paid out on the equity at your ownership percentage, right? When the sale or refinance takes place, which the minimum hold is 5 years. We not only is the long-term debt designed for 5 years as the hold period, but also that's really going to give it like that pans out a lot of the numbers here. So cool, y'all. Anything else I can answer for you guys? Or Stella can show you if you're interested in investing. Stella can come on and show you guys what you got to do for that.
Yeah, well, Michael, that was really freaking amazing. I think you're the record holder for, the number of people that are funding your deal so quickly. That is just incredibly impressive and super excited for everyone who's getting involved. And great to see everyone on the Zoom. I'm Stella Hahn. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Fractional. Also an investor myself. I'm personally in the sub-2 community as well. So it definitely feels super full circle that we're all here tonight. And just quickly showing everyone how this works. I dropped the link again. It seems like a lot of you have figured it out on your own, but if you do want to invest, big blue button here on the right, just click that. And then you get to put in, what your ideal investment amount is. 25K is the min. You can change that. Michael said he prefers 25K, increments. So, maybe consider that to be helpful. But, honestly, up to you guys. We will do the math. So put it in as whatever you want to invest. Click continue. You will be asked to pay 2% today just to lock in your spot. That way we know who's serious and who's going to be part of this group going forward. And right now, use any kind of payment method you want. We will ask after you lock in your spot. If you're going to be investing out of an LLC or an SDRA, you'll hear something from our closings team within the next few business days. We'll reach out to you to confirm your entity and your bank account. Something else you'll need to do in order to invest is going through our identity verification process. That is actually something that is huge value and really important to everyone. We want to make sure all the partners in here are who they say they are. Everyone's legit. No one's a scammer, right? No one's on a financial crimes list. So, really keeps everybody safe going into this partnership together. And then from there, after we have the whole group that's ready, you're actually going to be able to work with our legal team. We're going to craft a customized operating agreement for all the partners. So you guys get the opportunity to collaborate with Michael, as he mentioned, on, deciding kind of on the fate of the investment and things that can happen, right? With refinance or, even voting on potentially buying a fourth property, right? So a lot of really great things and fun things that will be put into kind of how voting works in the operating agreement. Everybody signs that. You'll submit, the remaining of the funds. And then from there, you guys will get access to kind of a private LLC page for the final investors involved in a deal. And this is where, you all get to collaborate. Mike will share updates here. There's going to be a finances tab in the group as well. So this is going to provide a lot of transparency for all of you guys that are investing to see, all the income and expenses that are kind of coming in and out of the LLC bank account, right? So it's going to be a really educational experience too. And then on Fractional's end, we're going to take care of sending out all your profit distributions. We know exactly what percentage each person owns. So we'll send out, those quarterly distributions to all the investors. We'll do, monthly bookkeeping so you guys can, get a good idea of what the books are like. We'll do the annual tax filings. We'll send out K-1 distributions. We're going to take care of LLC compliance. So really, the whole experience to, being able to run a partnership efficiently, that's what Fractional is here for. And you all, focus on learning and investing with Michael and, really building this portfolio to, making the dream team, make this magic happen. So I'll pause here to see if there's any Fractional specific questions, but overall super, super excited for you guys, super investors, super deal, and take this to the moon.
So, and there was a great question that I learned the answer to. Caesar asked, can the funds come from more than one source? Yes. So just to explain what you're going to do, you're going to, let's say you want to invest $100,000, 50,000 from your SDRA, $50,000 from your personal funds. You can, or I don't know, it's a 25,000, whatever it is. You're going to, submit, let's say the 100,000, you're going to submit the 100,000 now, pay a 2% deposit from your personal account, whatever that one is. And then Fractional's team is going to contact you and clarify, hey, what is your funding source for these deals? Even if it takes a few days for the money to transfer, like it takes a little bit longer from your self-directed IRA, like let's say you have a custodian as opposed to checkbook control, I'm cool with that. We don't need all the money like immediately. I'm not saying you start the process right away, but if it takes a little bit longer for your self-directed IRA, but you've committed, then I'm cool with that. And I want you guys to be part of this deal if that is what you want to do, even if it takes a little bit longer. So yes, Caesar, can come from multiple sources. Mario asked, will we be involved in operation of the properties as a learning curve? So great question. It depends on exactly what you mean. Like, are you going to manage the tenants and all that? I don't think so. I don't think, well, no, you wouldn't. That'd be excessive. However, you have access to Leanne, the managers, the property managers, all that to then be part of that process, learn about, hey, this is going on, right? This is happening for this property or whatever. So you can be part of the process, but are we going to expect you to operate or, go fix a toilet or, move in a tenant? No. But we get to learn from that. Absolutely. You get to learn from that entire process. And that's why it's awesome to do on Fractional, because we can very easily present project updates, have polls, questions, whatever, where you guys can decide how we proceed on certain things, as well as just learn about it. Maybe not everything's gonna be a formal vote, but we'll just understand everyone's interest on, hey, what do you guys think about this? Or just updating on this scenario. Like we had a tenant that did XYZ thing. What do you guys think? Like we want to do this collaboratively as a community. That's why we want several partners in on this deal. And I will clarify one more thing. When I said 25K increments, if you do 100,000 or whatever, I love that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying do it in the sense of, ideally, in my mind, I thought it'd be easier if we do 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, because I thought it'd be easier math. So I said, don't worry about it. We'll do the math. I said, great, you guys do the math then. However much you want to contribute, you're more than welcome to. There's no hard and fast rule on that. And if you do $35,000, you're welcome to do that too. Costello and their team will handle the math on that.
Yep, totally fine. We'll do the math. We got you guys covered.
I just think as like an owner operator who's done a lot of this in-house, even with the CFO, COO, bookkeepers, all that good stuff, CPA, all that good stuff, still it's hard. So then having Stella and their team do it is going to be an amazing resource. All right. I'm going to wait one more minute, but I think I've answered every single question. Total package. Thank you, Art. You talking about me? No, just kidding. The investment. All right. So Super Investor Community, that's Bill. If you're still watching, you can join Super Investors, then you'll upgrade kind of your benefits for the mastermind. But that's two distinct things. Super Investors Community is one thing. This is another thing. You'll get to learn a lot of stuff, but those are two distinct things. Stella wants to go to the mansion. Well, Stella, you can go to the mansion. You'll be there. Fractional is gonna be a big part of this moving forward. So we answered Barbara's question about cash flow.
Michael, I think you have two questions from Caesar.
What's your funding timeline? Can we start with 25? So you cannot add whatever you put in is what we're going to lock you in at, only because this funding is going to be done within the next, obviously you saw, we just started and we're, over 2/3 of the way there. So it won't even be available probably by middle of next week. We'll probably be done, right? The home stretch where it takes a little longer, we'll probably be done by then anyway. But the timeline is really, I think Wednesday, we said Wednesday or something like that to lock in your commitment, even though the funding might take an extra day or two. Or like it might take a little bit longer for you to work with the fractional team. They set up the LLCs and all that to work with their team. It might take a little bit longer, but whatever you contribute is what you can do on this investment. Does it mean we can't work together on future deals? No, there's other deals and other opportunities, but for this specific one, whatever you decide to lock in, that's what you're going to move forward with. And that's basically going to be locked in at. Once again, I'm not an urgency guy, but if you're really adamant about being part of this deal, it's something you really want to be part of, sooner is better than later. Yeah, because it just might not be available. That's it. What's my funding timeline? Yeah, so we're gonna get this thing done within the next couple of days. Any constraints to be an accredited investor? So you do not. That's why we're going this route instead of going the typical syndication, because you guys are combining, you guys are creating an LLC as capital partners. We're having one partner, and it's all you guys collectively that own that LLC. That's our partner. This is not a traditional syndication model. We don't have to worry about accredited investors or not. So whether you are or not an accredited investor, it doesn't matter. You can partake in this investment, which is another hugely beneficial thing, because now with $25,000, you are an owner of $2.2 million of real estate, 25 co-living rooms, 7 units, 3 properties that you can leverage for your investing journey with that little amount down. I just don't know who else is doing that. Like, that's the thing. Cool, y'all. I think we're good on questions unless someone's got a last minute, but it's a lot of questions. And I'm happy to answer questions all night, but actually I'm not. 3 minutes and it's my baby's bath time. We're cutting it. I don't miss baby bath time. My favorite. All right, you know what? We're gonna cut it. This is good. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. I did not do a, hey Becky, how you doing? Becky's here too. I didn't do a photo today. I usually do a photo with our super investors community and share. If anyone wants to get on video, do a quick screenshot. I'm gonna post it and say, awesome call with you guys. Obviously we missed half the crew, but if you guys want to do that, get your photos on. And then, yeah, super investors are very, very familiar with this.
Yes, please.
My mentor Pace forces content for me. I'm gonna make sure y'all force content, because I've learned how massively beneficial it is. And it's fun to see everyone's journey. All right, we're gonna lock it in at this. Oh wait, is there more in gallery? No, this is it. Okay. 3, 2. Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to drop it in the chat if you would like. Thank you guys. Have a blessed night. Thank you. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. Have a great night. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.